Stephen Ross is a real estate powerhouse. His net worth is estimated at nearly $7 billion. In 2008, he became part owner of the Miami Dolphins. He later took majority control. Ross this morning is tackling a bigger challenge. He wants to fight racism and bullying. His new nonprofit group is called RISE, the Ross Initiative in Sports for Equality. It is launching a nationwide campaign. The goal is advancing race relations in sports and beyond. Stars are stepping up to deliver the message.
I pledge
to treat everyone
with respect,
and dignity. I will not tolerate discrimination
or harassment
of any kind.
I will speak up. Speak up whenever I know discrimination is happening.
And I will stand up.
Get up. Rise up for victims.
Stephen Ross is here for an interview we'll see only on CBS This Morning. Welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you. We got a lot of things to talk about, including football and politics. But first, this campaign. Why did you do it?
Well, when we had an incident that was on the front pages for about 2 months in Miami, and I saw what it was, and I was troubled by it. You know, when I really looked into it, and knowing that I kind of owned that space, I thought I could, you know, you want to look positively. How can you really do something that it would have an impact? So I talked to a lot of people, thought about it, and have kind of put together this nonprofit that is kind of unprecedented in using sports to create change. Because we all know that sports is probably the common denominator, you know, in this country, if not the world.
Yeah, you're talking about Richie Incognito and Jonathan Martin, who were both on your team.
That was the incident.
Yeah, and Richie was suspended was accused of making racial and homophobic slurs. But how do you think football can help with this, Stephen? And what is the reaction you've been getting around the league since you started?
Well, I mean, I've talked to, it's not just the National Football League. I mean, if there's any place in society where there's equality, it's in sports. So it's not the leagues that have the problem. It's really the country today where there's discrimination that really is our problem, and we can see what it does all the time. So, but using sports to create change and bringing all the leagues together. There's no league that has a real problem with that, you know. But using sports to create change, because people really look to sports, and it has such an important role in our society today.
Heroes and role models.
Right, exactly. No matter what age you are, you're a role model if you're an athlete. Everybody looks up to you. So using the power of that, and together with education, to really put together an organization that can then really change and create a new paradigm in this country.
Let me talk about football. You just fired your coach.
I mean, he's a good man, but, you know, the team wasn't performing, and, you know, the role is, football is very objective. You measure wins and losses, and the team wasn't performing this year what we thought it would. We spent a lot of money. Everybody had high hopes, and, you know, after 4 games, there wasn't any real improvement. So, you know, you don't want to waste a year, and I'm very still optimistic about this year.
No, and you said you admire and respect Coach Philbin, and you considered him a friend. I think that's a difficult thing to do.
It was probably one of the most difficult decisions, you know, in doing that.
How do you determine it's a coaching problem, not a player problem?
Well, I think, you know, you can look and see, I mean, a coach is there to motivate the players, and you can see how the players are playing. And if you have a good roster or great expectations, you want to see improvement. And the first 4 games, you know, there's great expectations, but the team never really, you didn't feel they were really playing, you know, to their capability.
Let me talk about politics for a moment. Donald Trump is in your business in part. You know him, he's a fellow New Yorker. What do you think of him and his campaign?
Well, I know Donald, you know, and I like Donald a lot. I think he's surprised by how well he's doing, you know. You know, I respect him, but I don't really see him as president of the United States.
You're supporting someone else?
Yes.
Because why don't you see him as president?
Well, I mean, I think the ability to put together a leadership cabinet and organizations, and I don't think he's really dealt with that in his life. I mean, he has a small organization, you know. I mean, Donald is the world's best promoter. There's no question about it. But I don't think he's really stepped, you know, really in a position to really run the United States of America.
But he lays out that his business experience, that he runs the Trump organization, that he's worth, he says, close to $10 billion, that qualifies him.
Well, I think if he can show that he can really bring people on and not just talk about it and create a cabinet. I mean, people are frustrated with politics today. I mean, that's why his popularity is what it is. And I think that, what's odd is it's continuing. I mean, when you look around it, you know, I think it surprises a lot of New Yorkers.
Maybe the question is, too, is there a sense, though, amongst, since you've been involved in Republican politics, that Trump may actually become the nominee?
There's a good chance of that. It appears more every day, doesn't it?
Yeah. How do reporters and others understand how to evaluate wealth? I mean, he says 10 billion. You know, we just said you were worth 7 billion. How do you know?
I don't know. I mean, you know, you talk to Forbes. They do all their research and see what assets you own. And
are you worth $7 billion?
I never thought it would be. I'll tell you that.
This is a short answer. Are you optimistic about the economy?
No.
You're not optimistic about the economy.
Well, because I mean, we're not really creating job employment. Interest rates, you know, are so low, and business isn't really creating the kind of jobs. I mean, yes, jobs are low, but people aren't optimistic about it. The new jobs don't have the same pay rate, you know, that people are expecting, and it's like the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, you know. And I think there's an impact. We can see that, you know. I mean, these low interest rates are killing the middle class, you know. And
for you to say that, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, some say will be a central theme, income inequality and what's happening to the middle class. What should the political debate be about?
Well, you know, how do you really grow the economy? How do you grow people and give the opportunities, you know, that are there, not just jobs to put money in, you know. And I don't think we're doing that. I mean, our infrastructure, we're not putting money where they need to be. I mean, we had a great opportunity that we blew in terms of, you know, making more grants and subsidies to people as opposed to building things. And we haven't really, we got to rebuild this country.
In other words, we need a stimulus to encourage building of the infrastructure.
That's right. Yeah. So, I mean, we're becoming such a mature country. I mean, we're becoming like Great Britain was, and it took somebody like Margaret Thatcher to shake them up, and look what's going on today in Great Britain, you know, the remnants of that. But our country is just going in a different direction. It's more, how do you hand it out and, you know, create the equality? Let's create the opportunity where people feel good and there's real growth in there. I mean, the United States is, I mean, the whole world is looking at the United States today. Right. You know, we are the leader, and we're causing them to even have the problems. You know, I mean, we're the biggest economy. And I think a lot of stuff that you might take China, Europe, there's a malaise wherever you go. And we're the best there is. Yeah. And we could really lead the way if we really opened up, you know, and people felt comfortable about it. But there's no leadership.
Thank you.